Hello, I am Deborah Quazzo, the co-founder of ASU+GSV, and it is my incredible pleasure to welcome Eilert Hanoa, the CEO of Kahoot, the world phenomenon Kahoot, to the global virtual stage at ASU+GSV. Welcome. So glad to have you here. So let me start with actually a question coming, I'd love to say off the pandemic, but out of this both tragic year in so many ways that we all know so well, but it's really had quite a profound impact on the trajectory of education technology generally, bringing, literally, as we know, billions of people into the deep end of the online learning pool. I'd love if you maybe start, Eilert, by speaking to the pandemic impact on global EdTech and on Kahoot, of course, specifically, and whether the impact has had any acceleration of the democratization of education, which I know is one of your one of your key focuses at Kahoot. So I'd love it if maybe you tackle there.
So thank you, Deborah, and first of all, thank you very much for having us on this event, and also that we can talk about what's a very important topic these days, which is, of course, in general, education, regardless of the pandemic. But secondly, how can this challenging time also be an opportunity to both think new about using digital tools in any setting for learning, and of course with millions of teachers around the world that we are engaged with, seeing how they are able to improvise and to retrain, rethink, and really I would say renovate their thinking around using great tools already available and tools coming out that can make a challenging setting pretty good. That said, of course, this has been a big transformation, both for educational institutions, for the teachers, and for the students. And taking that into consideration, I think it's important in order to kind of sum up what we have learned or how we now will move forward. I think that we see from the big tech corporations down to the startups that many have been willing and able to step forward and both offering great free solutions, putting some extra value on the table, whether it's more free time or free features or free value, and trying to kind of really contribute to getting all us and everyone in the society through this very difficult time, really. That said, it's not given that we will not have those kinds of challenges going forward. So I think having a fairly optimistic, but to some extent objective, neutral way of thinking about how do we manage this, also with potentially future lockdowns or remote settings, is an important part of this. But all in all, there's no doubt that we have accelerated I would say, almost like the importance and understanding of digital learning tools throughout the last 12 months, maybe more than we could expect in a full decade. So it's no doubt that this has been very important to get digital tools and learning tools, both used in class and remotely, on the agenda, and also professionalized several of the services that hopefully will help everyone do this much better and having a better learning experience in the future, regardless of potentially future lockdowns as well.
Love that point being raised. I'd like to take you down. I mean, you spoke in that really focusing on the K-12 segment. I mean, we at GSV, we look at the EdTech for investment purposes and for the ASU+GSV Summit as a pre-K to gray arc. So what's interesting about when people think of Kahoot, they, I think, probably do often think of Kahoot as a K-12 company, but you truly have pre-K to gray reach. And I'd love if you just speak a little bit to kind of what the impact you all are having in higher ed and in the workforce landscape. So love to hear a little bit about that and your plans there.
So thank you for that. And to your point, of course, lifelong learning is what we're all into, both at home and at work or in school. And I think that's the headline, which really should be setting the almost the discussion for how to build great solutions going forward. To your point of pre-K to gray, which I think is a great phrase, the gray part is also why, for example, Kahoot, not only Kahoot, but also Kahoot, really makes a difference at work. It's no point that it should be gray, even though it's at work. And that's definitely what we try to, if you will, engage and create that enthusiasm that we all have as kids when we are playing games or engaging in a group session or having feedback loops, really making learning awesome, regardless whether it's compliance training in a corporate setting or onboarding of new employees, or of course, a K-12 session at home or in school. And Kahoot started with this goal to make the teacher the classroom hero, which is the fundamental part of making also learning awesome, that there is someone there, it's a message, there is interest of sharing the knowledge, you create engagement, you get, of course, the attention of the audience, and then you can start on the creative phases and using playfulness to make that happen. And whether it's a teacher in a K-12 class, or it's an instructor at work, or the leader of the association in your neighborhood, you have that same need for creating some topics, probably all topics, more interesting. And I think that's why we see that over 8 million teachers around the world were using Kahoot last 12 months for hundreds of millions of student sessions. And of course, also used in Fortune 500 companies and down to the startups around the world. So making learning awesome is truly a global theme. And we're very happy that we can provide a free Kahoot for all that want to use it in school or at home. And that we can also work with our partners to have great content there to make that learning even more awesome.
Yeah, it is making learning awesome. I always loved that motto. It was there from the very beginning, and you all have stayed very true to that. Can you talk a little bit more about, everyone's talking engagement, now obviously, and engagement online is really important. I'd argue that Kahoot really was one of the first EdTech companies to really crack the code on engagement. And I'd love to maybe bear down a little bit further into that, and how you guys how you all think about measuring engagement, and then also and perhaps this is where you were going on the hero teachers, but the whole philosophy around learners to leaders pedagogy, and how that comes into play in the implementation rollout of Kahoot and the use of Kahoot by teachers, pre-K to grade teachers. So I would couple questions in there, but love to hear your thoughts.
I think it's definitely an important topic that has been, as you said, from the founding team back in 2013, when the first edition of Kahoot as we know it was launched, that it needs to be awesome, and it needs to be as important, which is how we did it as children, learn through actually doing it, not just passively listening to the final edition of the truth, and learning to engaging, to work together, to gamify and team up with both opponents and peers is, of course, a very important part of that. And that has been following us since then. And we tried to remember where we're coming from, to not kill the bus in making it awesome when you are learning. And what we have seen, and maybe to some surprise, that it's not a theme that is stopping. It's definitely continuing. It's taking new forms. It's adding more new flavors or features. You can do it remotely now. You can do it offline. You can do it in study groups. You can do it as homework. But the importance of having this engagement to kind of drag you into the session instead of leaning back and zoning out of the session is as important as ever before, especially when in all reality, we are competing against Fortnite and TikTok more than we are competing against textbooks when it comes to capture the attention of the students, even at work. So the attention span time is going down, and alternative services for engagement is increasing. So making learning awesome is more important than ever. That said, I think what we can continue to do, and we are definitely not done in our journey on this, but we still need to continuously challenge what is making Kahoot popular today with an even better delivery tomorrow, both for our free users, for the teachers, for the students, for the parents, and at work. So we have a lot of unfinished opportunities that we are building on of great new features and services that we hope to launch every quarter going forward, and really making sure that this is not a dying phenomenon in any way, but rather a vivid way to continue to create that extra excitement and engagement, even with those who have played Kahoot for many sessions over many years already.
Yeah. Any insights on what you're most excited about coming down the roadmap there?
I think one of the things that we are working on right now, which truly can make a difference, at least from our side, is the ability to package not only a quiz or a small session, but the whole course, including videos, documentation, quizzes, and follow-up post-session quizzes and surveys, which means that, let's say that you are studying for a driver license, you can have a full driver license experience course on the Kahoot platform, which is great for the publisher. And of course, it's super great for the student or those who want to test it. And since we have this global reach with over 1 million teachers logging into the Kahoot platform every week, we believe that packaging these kind of courses, whether they are used in K-12, whether they are premium on a subscription or for free, or if it's used at home for any social engagement, we believe that's a fantastic opportunity for Kahoot going forward.
That's brilliant. Yeah, that's brilliant. Will it be an opportunity for teachers to come on the platform and actually create their own businesses and monetize as well?
Exactly. That's what we see, that's a huge demand from our teacher base. We have already a few or several thousand actually teachers signed up for being verified educators. We're going to move that group and those ambassadors into the next phase, which is also to give them the tools to create courses they can package either for free or for a commercial opportunity. And as long as we can also provide a way to protect their IP so that they're not seeing it copied or being shared in a group, we believe there's a great way for all the super talents out there in any language in the world to package their content, making it available, and sharing their knowledge. Brilliant.
A big theme for us at GSV, I want to sort of actually dovetail 2 points in this one, is the concept of EdTech as an export. I think interestingly, Kahoot, on the contrary, though, even back in 2013, had global appeal really out of the gate when it was founded. I actually remember meeting the founders at South by Southwest EDU in Austin. Love to hear you talk about the what makes Kahoot so exportable. Also love to maybe a bit of a comment on your recent acquisition of Clever in the US market. I think that's the other thing we're seeing is EdTech M&A as an export. We're seeing a lot of cross-border activity, which I think is incredibly exciting. So would just love to get your comments on that.
Yeah, I think first of all, we are, and not only Kahoot, but Kahoot as well. We are an international company already, to your point, but happens to be with an HQ in Oslo, Norway. So we see that on the diversity of our team, we are, I think, almost 40 nationalities spread across our different offices, that we are trying to constantly challenge our own ways to, whether it's managing new languages or adding resources to help translating to localized to new regions, making sure that we are encouraging not only English material, but also, of course, English-speaking users on the platform. And also thinking maybe a little different around this, as we're coming from a small country and have to think from start different about being recognized and being, if you will, accepted internationally. So that has definitely helped us. And to your point, we have, prior to the acquisition of Clever, we had 40-45% of revenue from North America and similar use base there. That's growing more rapidly now in the rest of the world. So that's great. And we see that we have to continuously invest in being what you would think of as a US-centric experience for all our users in North America, and of course similar to Latin America, where we did the Spanish translation last year, packaging with both the app and with content. And we also see that our partners on the content side are more and more interested in making sure that they can join us on this journey, that we can package content, translate it, and making sure it's as good local experience around the world as it is in our countries where we originated. And our latest push, which was to translate our platform and gaming experience into Japanese back in June. First Asian language, which we are very excited about, and also opening maybe one of the markets where we see that we have had disproportional low engagement, Japan, with this initiative. Similar to, we saw a spike in usage in LATAM after translating the experience to Spanish last year. So it's a constant investment, but it has to be seen as an opportunity investment and not as a cost investment. If you are to broaden out and really be a true platform for learning around the world, it's not, of course, enough with English only. And again, I think to some extent we have been a little behind on this versus other players that have done a fantastic job in localizing. And then we will catch up, especially with all the educators, teachers that we have on the platform who are creating Kahoots and collections and sessions and courses in their native languages going forward.
That's fantastic. And any quick comment on your vision for Clever? Is it as you all close that transaction and how you see it playing in the long run? Yeah.
So. Of course, Clever is a fantastic opportunity for us, especially because Clever has done this very consistent and precise investment in their platform. And we actually met with them back in South by Southwest in 2013 and been running as in parallel worlds and now reconnecting as long lost sisters. So that's great. But really seeing that the job they've done to make learning awesome from a EdTech app and content perspective for teachers, with over 1 million teachers active on the platform every month and 20 million students. Combining that with some of the initiatives that we both look at going forward, which is marketplace for assets coming from teachers or from our partners, from building this way to communicate better lifelong learning, both in the classroom but also at home. And of course, the opportunity to expand Clever, fantastic value proposition outside of the US, together with the user base that we have. Exciting. Exactly, outside of North America. So we have several fantastic opportunities going forward. We have to pace ourselves as always and making sure that we are delivering the quality that everyone expects in the next cycle before we jump onto the next big opportunity. But I think we'll hopefully see some great results of this in the coming quarters already.
Well, that's very exciting. I too fell in love with Clever from the get-go. I was a really early angel investor, and then they were part of our fund. So congrats again on that acquisition, that merger. Really, I think it's gonna be incredibly powerful, and the addition of that team to your great team is I think will be fantastic. So With that, I think we ran out of time. I could talk to you all afternoon. I so appreciate your being here with us, and look forward to talking again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deborah. Always a pleasure.